Ashley, and this video is a recap of book 1 in the Crescent City series, House of Earth and Blood. So for all of you who do not want to reread House of Earth and Blood, it is 800 pages. 800 pages of world building and characters and plot. This video is for you. I'm going to go through everything you need to know. Before I do that, please subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below as to what you think is going to happen in Book 2, House of Sky and Breath. So, House of Blood and Earth, Crescent City Book 1 takes place in possibly the future, possibly not, it could be Earth, but now the planet is called Midgard, and we're specifically in a city called Lunathion, or Crescent City, and this is in the country of Valbera. This universe is filled with fantastical creatures, werewolves, angels, mermaids, fauns, fairies, witches, and it is controlled by a group of very powerful angels known as the Austeri. Think the Volturi of the Twilight Saga, very similar. This world is highly unequal. It's very hierarchical. In Valbera, we have conscription because there is currently a war going on in Pangaea where we have humans rebelling because they are treated as second-class citizens. They are often used and abused by the more powerful creatures like vampires and angels. And so the humans are rebelling. Now, this is an urban fantasy, so we have things like technology, bombs, smartphones, security footage, and that is what enables the humans to rebel. They are essentially trying to end this hierarchical society through their rebellion and have humans be free and on equal footing. Let's talk a little bit about the history of this world. There's two very important historical events that you need to be aware of. One is how the world was created. Essentially, the first starborn prince, Prince Peleus, who is a starborn ancient fae, came through the Northern Rift, which was a portal he created using the Luna Horn. And when he came through, demons were able to come through from hell, one L in this book. And these demons came through, and Prince Peleus and the other starborn fae fought the demons, especially the Star Eater, which is like the demon prince, and Prince Peleus won. He used the Luna Horn to close the rift, and in the process the Luna Horn was broken. Now, when he closed the rift, there were small cracks left in it, which allows demons to sometimes be summoned from the different realms of hell in our current book. Since the Luna Horn was broken, it is stored at the Luna Temple, which is a temple to the goddess Luna, and it is part of her statue. When our story takes place, the Luna Horn has been stolen. So that's how this world was created and populated. Fast forward a few hundred years and we have another important historical event, and that is an angelic rebellion against the Austeri, which took place in Pangaea. This brings us to one of our main characters, Hunt Athalar. He is an angel who is born poor, and so he joins the army, and what he's doing is he's working in the army and sending money back to his mother. What happens to his mother is she's keeping this money aside. The mother gets robbed and killed in the process. They took her money, and Hunt does not like this society that would essentially let this happen to his mother. So he joins an angelic rebellion against the Volturi, where they're trying to destroy the Senate. And this rebellion is led by the powerful angel Shahar. Shahar is not only the head of the rebellion, but she is also Hunt's lover. Hunt is a powerful general in her army. He has the power of lightning, and he can kill quite a few people. And in the process of the rebellion, in a particular battle, he kills over 2,000 of angels from the other side. Unfortunately, this rebellion does not succeed. Shahar is killed by her twin sister Sandriel, and Hunt becomes a slave. Eventually, so 200 years pass where Hunt is a slave, and he's passed from different angelic overlords where he's eventually bought by Micah. Micah is the archangel of Crescent City in our present day, and Micah has a deal with Hunt. Hunt will be Micah's personal assassin, and he must kill the same number of creatures that he killed when he was working as the general in this rebellion. And when he does that, he will earn his freedom. So Hunt has a lot of self-loathing because he's basically doing these killings and torturings at Micah's bequest, but this is not what he wants to do. He's not a murderous creature. And he also, because he's a slave, he has a special halo tattooed on his forehead which contains his power. Okay, let's fast forward to the start of our story. We have Bryce Quinlan. She is half human, half fae, and because of that, because of her half-human side, she tends to be discriminated against and looked down upon within this Crescent City society. She is living with her best friend, Danica Fender, who is a very powerful werewolf shifter. Danica is the granddaughter of the prime alpha of the werewolves, and she heads not only the werewolf auxiliary force, or the Aux, which is kind of like a paramilitary / police unit, but she also heads the vigilante group, the Pack of Devils. Bryce spends her days working for Jezebel Roga, a powerful sorceress at Griffin Antiquities, where she helps Jezebel to make deals to buy and sell extremely precious artifacts. At Griffin Antiquities, there is a number of important artifacts being stored there, and they are guarded by Labea, a fire sprite who's quite fiery in personality. In addition, Bryce has a little pet friend who she purchased from Jezebel. Jezebel was going to sell him because he was a slave, and Bryce purchased his freedom, and this is the Chimera Syrinx. He's kind of like a little lion pug type dog creature that stays with Bryce at Griffin Antiquities and comes home with her as well. Sarah J. Maas really develops Bryce's character as having a lot of empathy for those who are in slavery as well as those who are not able to defend themselves. Bryce has two other friends who factor into this story. One is Juniper, who is part faun and a ballet dancer, and the other is Fury, who is an assassin. She has some very unknown origins. We don't know what her species is, but she is very powerful, and she often goes to Pangea, where she is assassinating and infiltrating. Now, all of these characters met, so Juniper, Fury, Danica, and Bryce all met when they were in university. At night, Bryce is your typical party girl. She likes to drink, and she'll have casual sex with other creatures and just live it up. Now, in Danica's pack, there is a werewolf named Connor who has long held feelings for Bryce, but Danica asked him to wait. Bryce has never gone for it with him because she considers him to be an alpha hole. I think Sarah J. Maas was really clever with creating this term of alpha hole because it's basically encapsulating a lot of the male heroes in some of her other stories. The alpha hole is very dominating, they're very protective, they're very tend towards jealousy, and Bryce wants to just be free and party and not be tied down and controlled by this alpha hole. One day, Bryce goes out to party. Danica can't go with her because it is pack night where the pack spends the evening together. This time they watch TV and eat pizza. And while Bryce is out, she actually texts Connor saying she'll go out with him. But then, she ends up partying a bit more and has sex with another creature. And she texts this to Danica. Later on, she returns home to find all of the pack of devils, including Danica, murdered and their parts strewn about the apartment. She is completely distraught, and she sees this demon fleeing. It's a chrysalis demon. She pursues it, and when she does, she finds an angel that is basically bleeding, and she stops to help that angel. So this is a huge disaster for Bryce. Her whole world has come crashing down on her. And not only so, and then what happens is they arrest who they believe is the person responsible, Philip Briggs, who is head of a dangerous human rebel group. They arrest him for these murders. They put him in prison. But Bryce is really struggling with guilt because those texts that she sent to Danica about sleeping with another creature become public and are known to the pack of devil, or are known to the werewolves. And essentially Connor's brother Ethan denies Bryce from attending any of their funerals, because any of the wolf pack's funerals, because he's angry at Bryce for these basically texts that she sent, which he sees as a betrayal of Connor. The story then picks up several years later when Philip Briggs is getting out on a technicality. Bryce goes to meet a powerful vampire on behalf of Jezebel Roga. Jezebel Roga is the sorceress who is Bryce's boss. Jezebel Roga has defected from the witches and she now works for the Underking. I think that she's going to be a very important character in House of Sky and Breath, but we don't get into too much of her backstory in this book. Later on, this vampire shows up killed and dismembered in the exact same way the pack of devils were. So now there is a belief that they did not have the right murderer in Philip Briggs. So Micah, who is the archangel and governor of Crescent City, asks Bryce to investigate and find this murderer, also to find the Lunathion, which has been stolen. He says the reason why he's asking Bryce is because of her close relationship with Danica and her ability to understand Danica's final movements in those last days before her life was taken. For Bryce's protection and to assist her, Micah assigns his personal assassin, Hunt Athalar, to Bryce's case to help her find the Lunathion and to keep her safe. Now, Hunt and Bryce do not get along initially. She thinks of him as an alpha hole. He thinks of her as this vapid party girl. Little does he know she has given up her partying ways and is just so weighted with grief. And this is something that her and Hunt really bond over, because Hunt is really weighted with grief from losing his lover Shahar and from losing this rebellion and for all the lives that he's taken on behalf of Micah. As they pursue the horn and uncovering the mystery behind who killed Danica and the pack of devils, a lot of other murders are going on, especially murders that have to deal with that last night where the horn is taken. More chrysalis demons are being summoned. Now there's another really important character that you need to know about, and that is Rune Danon. Rune Danon is Bryce's half-brother. He is the son of the Fae King, as well as another Fae who has died, and he's extremely powerful because he is starborn, so he has the power to generate this starlight. Now Bryce is actually, as I said, half Fae, half human. So Ember Quinlan is her mother, and she was raised by Ember and her stepfather. Now her stepfather was a great military figure, so he taught Bryce to be a great sharpshooter and to defend herself. She also wears a protective amulet that Jezebel Roga gave her. We don't know why, but Bryce has had a falling out with Rune Danon. Additionally, Rune Danon has two friends who are going to become important characters. One is Declan, who's a whiz with technology, and the other is Flynn, both Fae. So the Fae King decides that it's very important for them to find the horn, the Fae people, because they are really waning in power, and as the angels are growing in power. So the Fae King tasks his son with finding this artifact as well. So Rune Danon and his two friends Declan and Flynn are kind of helping Bryce and Hunt. Now there's also this drug that is on the street called synth, which is very dangerous, and there is a med witch who's working on a antidote for this drug, because the drug will enhance your power. For example, it will allow humans to be strong enough to destroy some of these other creatures, but eventually you turn on yourself and you start to destroy yourself. So there's this very kind-hearted med witch who is working on an antidote, and Rune Danon kind of has a thing for her. And what you will find out later on is that she is actually the new witch queen, and she is supposed to, or possibly going to be betrothed to Rune Danon. Now, as they're going through the motions of there's basically these three overarching mysteries. Who took the horn and where is it? what is this, who is like leaking synth onto the street and how can they stop it, and who is doing all these murders, including the murder of the Pack of Devils and Danica. Over the course of the book, the Hunt and Bryce have different theories and often feel that they've solved it and really find out that they haven't. So they first think that it was Sabine who is behind all of this, and Sabine is Danica's mother. She's jealous of Danica because Danica is more powerful. But what you find out is Sabine only cares to maintain Danica's reputation. So she learned that Danica stole the horn, so she doctors the security footage to cover that up and make sure nobody thinks that Danica did steal the horn, even though it was Danica. At a certain point, they believe that it was actually Danica herself that slayed the Pack of Devils. They thought she was addicted to synth. This was Hunt's theory. She's addicted to synth and she turns on the Pack of Devils as well as herself. That ends up being disproven because the true villain in our story is none other than Micah. Micah wants to find the horn. He was the one summoning all these chrysalis demons. He was the one who destroyed the Pack of Devils as well as Danica. And it actually is him that was leaking synth onto the street. So what you find out is that he blackmailed Danica into stealing the horn. Danica didn't trust him, so she hid it. Where did she hide it? In a tattoo on Bryce. The reason she hides it there is because she knows Bryce is starborn from a particular event that happens in their past where she sees Bryce's starborn power. The main motivation Micah has for wanting this horn is that he wants to open a rift, bring through a bunch of demons, use them to fight off the human rebels once and for all, and therefore rise in the angelic hierarchy. So what ends up happening is this big face-off between Micah and Bryce. Micah injects Bryce with synth, but lo and behold, Bryce actually has the antidote, which she got from the Medwitch, and she's able to fight off Micah and kill him. Now, in the process, Lebea actually helps buy Bryce some time so she can get the God Killer rifle from Jezebel's office, and Lebea sacrifices herself. That was a very emotional part because Bryce had already purchased Lebea's freedom and was waiting to throw a party for her, and Lebea says, as my first act of freedom, I'm going to defend my friend Bryce. And so it's very emotional. Lebea sacrifices herself. Now Hunt is actually arrested and he's been sold to Sandriel because he was trying to do a synth buy with his two friends, Victoria and Justinian. They are also slaves to Micah, and the reason they were doing this synth buy is they wanted to inject themselves with synth and then fight Micah and get their freedom. And Hunt says the whole reason he was doing that was because he wanted to have a life with Bryce. Now, Bryce felt very betrayed by Hunt because he was doing this synth deal behind her back, and he knew he had this whole belief that Danica was the one who was addicted to synth and who had killed the Pack of Devils. So Bryce felt betrayed. Hunt is over at this summit while Bryce is doing this big fight and kills Micah. Now, unfortunately, in that process, Micah was actually able to open a rift and summon a bunch of demons. So Bryce is essentially running through Crescent City trying to get to Asphodel Meadows, which is where the humans live, and they're pretty much defenseless. Bryce is going to make a stand to try to protect those who are most vulnerable. Hunt comes to her aid, as does Fury. The Austeri come because they want to essentially bomb the city and get rid of these demons. And in this process, Bryce is needing more power, so she makes the drop. The drop is a special ceremony event that happens when you come into your full power and your life is extended as a otherworldly creature, as a non-human creature. So you get to live almost close to immortal, and you get to experience the full amount of power that you will have in your lifetime. And you also generate some electricity or almost like star power, and that's what's used to power all of Crescent City. Typically, you would have an anchor, someone who's pulling you back into the real world. Bryce doesn't have one. Initially, Hunt does show up and is her anchor. She's the Lunahorn, so she's able to close the rift. What Bryce ends up accessing to have this massive power is this area in Crescent City where everybody gives a little bit of their own power, just as almost like a tradition. Like, you know how some places in France you put locks on the bridge, or you know, you drop a penny into a well. It's the same concept, this part of Crescent City where they do that. And so she accesses power from all the people who had dropped a little minuscule bit of power into this relica in Crescent City. And the cool thing about that is the inscription, which says the power will always belong to those who work to keep the city safe. And there's this huge theme in the book of the power of love versus the love of power, because we have our evil characters like Micah, who just want more power. And then we have our characters like Hunt and Bryce, especially Bryce and Danica, who believe through love conquers all. That's a slogan on the back of Danica's jacket, and something that Bryce really believes in as well. And it is their love for each other that essentially allows Bryce to successfully make the drop. Danica gives up what's left of her afterlife to power Bryce through that drop and back to the real world. So at the end of our story, we have the all-powerful Bryce, we have the austerity backing off and giving Bryce a gift of Hunt's freedom as a thank you for saving the city. They also say that Bryce should keep it quiet that she is this powerful, because not only is she Starborn, but she got all that power from the people of Crescent City when she made the drop. So it's kind of like a veiled threat. We have Jezebel Roga and this demon meeting, and the demon says, you know, I think that Hunt's father would be very proud, but you, Jezebel, would know more about that than me. So it's kind of like, who is Hunt's father? Why would Jezebel know more about that? There's a few other sort of question marks in addition to who is Hunt's father. One of them is there was this oracle. This oracle gave a prophecy to Rune Danon that his will be the last of the royal line. That he will be the last of the royal line. So is he going to die, or is the royal hierarchy, royal family going to disperse? It's hard to know what that means exactly. We know that Bryce is super powerful. We know that the demon, this one particular demon prince, Adonis, knows a lot about Bryce's potential future or Bryce's path. I think it's possible that Shahar might come back into play, like somehow be reincarnated, or her spirit. Sarah J. Maas has confirmed that there is going to be a threesome of some sort. I don't know who that's going to be with. Juniper and Fury are together. They're lesbians and they're in love. So I don't know if we're going to hear more from those two characters. There's also Therion, who is this mermaid associate of the queen of the Istros River, and he is very attractive. I don't know if he's going to come into play. Sarah J. Maas is really famous for two things. One, a very diverse and likable cast of characters, which we've talked about all those characters. And two, switching the love interest. So is she going to switch the love interest away from Hunt? Maybe. Maybe. People are very attached to Hunt, but I could get behind Therion. I think, you know, sexy merman. There may be other characters that come into play as well. We also have this lingering rebellion where the humans are rebelling. We have Philip Briggs and his rebel group, so I think we'll see more from them. House of Sky and Breath, as I said, comes out on Valentine's Day. I'm going to have a video where I do a reading vlog and then an analysis and discussion video as well. This is it for the recap. I hope that you found it helpful. It was a lot of work for me to do, but I think it is a lot easier to watch this video than it is to have to actually reread all 800 pages of House of Earth and Blood. If you could please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. It would mean the world to me. I'm going to put up another video I think you might be interested in. In the meantime, happy reading. I hope you have an amazing Valentine's Day. I'll see you in the next video. This is Ashley saying goodbye.